So the year is 1902, and there's a woman who's trying to go to New York. She uses a streetcar to go there, and on the day that she decides to go, it was really snowy. So she enters the car, it's really warm. She notices the driver is using creative ways to get rid of the snow on the windshield. So the driver does things like get his head out of the window to see, he stops the car to clean off the windshield, and remember this is 1902, so all that is very normal. But as she gets home, she realizes how inconveniencing it was for all that to happen. So what does she do? She sits down, gets a sketchboard, and she starts to draw up something that can allow a driver to clean the windshield of the car without opening the car, or to clean it from inside. After a couple of months, she creates something called an electronic windshield cleaning equipment for okay, I'm going to subtitle what she calls it. And this lady, her name is Mary Elizabeth Anderson. And the sad part about that entire story is she didn't really make any money from inventing the windshield wipers. And I find that really sad, because it's the rainy season and I've really been using windshields on my life.
Yeah.
These are so... Where were we? So today I wanted to have a conversation, and the conversation is about mortality, or better yet, immortality. So this video was brought about, or rather the thoughts in this video were provoked by this series that I'm watching. I'm actually almost done. I'm one episode away from finishing it. It's called Altered Carbon. So you can watch this video without me ruining the plot for you, but I'm going to lay out the story or the world in which this video, or rather this series, was constructed. So Altered Carbon is a cyberpunky type of series based about 300 to 350 years in the future. So the most important thing, or the theme of this series, is human beings have found a way to extract the human consciousness, or rather the human essence, and to save it. So in the series, they save it in little devices called stacks, which are lodged on in the spine. With that, they can move from body to body. Like if I grow old and I get old, my stack can be placed into another body. And in the series, they call bodies sleeves. So in another sleeve, and I'll have all my memories, basically everything about me will just be moved to another sleeve. Will ever say on camera. But I noticed one thing in the series. This is a mini spoiler. Actually, it's not even a spoiler because I won't mention names. One of the characters in the series loved the wife so much. He was married to the wife for hundreds of years, and according to him, he had achieved a love so pure, so strong, that he believed he would be staining it or defiling it if he engaged in intercourse with the wife, which is all types of irony. But yeah, that happened. In this marriage, they could engage with other people, but one thing that the wife, anyway, I almost got carried away. The point I'm trying to make is, in this world where people could live forever, the one thing they searched for was the communal love. They made groups. The people who seemed to be happiest were the grounders, the poor people, because the richer people, who were known as mates, lived up above the ground, like in super tall towers and beauty and blah blah blah. So they also had that ability to love. In fact, for me, I think the mates' love was even stronger than the grounders' love, though it may have been distorted. The second thing that I realized from watching this series is I don't necessarily think the future will make our lives better. Hear me out. So, this is a series where technology had reached to a point that was so advanced that human beings could basically clone themselves, like a full-fledged human being who looked exactly like me, in less than 24 hours. Like, these are things that were happening, again, not part of the story, but they could happen, and entire limbs could be replaced. These were normal everyday things in the series, and the series doesn't necessarily make it seem like that's ultra special. They're like, oh, he got a new hand, good for them. But poverty was not stricken away. People were still very poor. People were still doing the jobs that machines could do. And I don't think that was necessarily because the society or the central government couldn't achieve a situation where every single person could be fed. They just didn't do it because I think human greed or human inefficiency, just so many other reasons. This brings about the argument that I once had with a friend of mine concerning why is it that they're spending billions of dollars to go into space to explore a new planet instead of them spending it to make this planet, our planet, a better place? Why aren't they doing that? Those are questions that I can't really answer right now, but from watching the series, I realized maybe there's more to the story. Maybe it's not as easy being that powerful as we would like it to be, but it's definitely not going away because of one person or two people, because there's so many variables that are involved in human beings being the top of the food chain that we've caused a lot of suffering. The third thing that I realized from watching this series is we as human beings need mortality. Like, so this comes from the myths, the people that were ultra rich. So they imagine one human being can manage to be super rich in a space of one lifetime. They had probably like 10 lifetimes to live. And what happened, say you're worth 30 billion in your first life, you change your sleeve, you still keep all your money and you double it and triple it and quadruple it. What happens to you? You become so wealthy that nothing really makes you afraid. And even the concept of death was completely removed from these people's minds, because they managed to get that consciousness and save it in satellites, which means even if you were to destroy their stacks, which is the only way you die in this series, they refer to it as real death, they wouldn't really die. They would just back themselves up in another clone, maybe even a better sleeve, and boom, they're back. This made them act in the strangest of ways. I won't say some of the things that they did, because that's destroying the plot of the movie. But I believe as human beings, we need a limited amount of time. Something needs to have a beginning, middle, and an end. That's just the way we were built. That's the way we've evolved, for those who subscribe to that thinking. It's a situation where different characters were brought up, and at the end of everything, like, these people just became super bored and they had nothing more to do, and maybe that's what caused them to do some of the things they did. Even though some of the actions they made that may seem unethical, I didn't find wrong with them. Like, I didn't see anything wrong with some of the things that these people were doing. And I'm really happy that the writers explored this concept, because in the end, the true thing that blocked them wasn't the advancement in technology, it was just society.